Hey, I'm Christina Marie Anderson, the owner of Wandersoul Co., a web development studio packed with personality. And today I want to talk to you a little bit about looking towards 2024. It is rapidly approaching, which I'm sure I don't have to tell you. And this is a time of year when everybody starts talking about their goals for the new year and what they're going to do and how they're going to do it. And just all sorts of big feelings. And I do personally love the new year. I think it's what feels like a really nice fresh start. Um, Obviously, I will be the same Christina in 2024 as I am here in 2023 because radical change does not happen overnight. But I also like to think that it's a time for a clean slate. So I am a really big fan of the new year, but I am not a big fan of how much emphasis gets put on what the new year is going to be like, especially when so many people don't know how to set good goals, or like a lot of people are just trying to make it through, right? Make it through another year. And that's totally okay. But what I want to talk to you a little bit about today is why I don't really set goals, and also talk to you about what I do and what that's going to look like for me in 2024. So I am not a huge fan of setting goals. I understand SMART goals. I understand what the deal is, how to make a goal actionable and measurable and make sure that it's something that's actually possible. But the part of goals that I don't love is the part that feels so rigid, and also the part that looks basically at like predicting the future. So, for example, let's just start with a goal that I set for myself in 2023. So, my income goal for 2023, I set two, and I guess the reason I set two is because I'm not in love with goal setting. But I set a really lofty goal of $180,000 of revenue this year, and while if I had done things differently, that may have been possible, it is not going to come to fruition, and I'm totally okay with that. So I also set a lower income goal that was totally achievable in a realistic business growth sense. So we've all seen, or at least I've certainly seen in this industry since 2020, things really seeming like, oh, it's just easy to make six figures. It's easy to make seven figures. It's easy to double your growth in business. And the truth is, like, absolutely none of that is true. It is not easy to double your revenue in business. And even if you can double your revenue, are you actually doubling your profits? Or are you just putting a crap ton of money into paid ads to get new leads? So there's a whole nuanced world that we could talk about, and that's not really what I'm here to talk about today. So let's get back to my goals for the year. I am likely going to hit my revenue goal, the realistic revenue goal of $120,000. Now, I'm very close. And I, despite not being particularly good at goals, I am part of a group that checks in on each other weekly to make sure that we are reaching, or at least striving for, and continue to strive for our goals. And my mentor in that group said, if you don't know, or if you're not sure if you're going to make that goal, you need to get clear on if on what you need to do to meet that goal. And he's not wrong. And also, I am not so attached to the goal that I'm going to let it run my life for the next 2 months. So I am close to making $120,000 this year if everything that is projected to come into my business comes in. And I could spend time stressing over where to find another $2,000 or $3,000 project that would push me over the edge. But it's not worth my sanity to stress over meeting that income goal when in reality, like, I'm proud that I had business growth at all this year. This was a very difficult year for a lot of people in the digital marketing space. And I count myself lucky that not only did I exceed what I made last year, or will exceed what I made last year, but I am going to continue to grow. And I consider that success. Now, by the metric of did you accomplish the goal, yes or no? yet to be determined, but it may be no. And that doesn't mean I wasn't successful this year. And that doesn't mean that I didn't do great things this year. And nobody can predict the future. And what I thought I wanted in January of 2023 is not necessarily the same thing that I'm sitting here having and loving. So I think that there's sort of a downfall to setting and holding yourself so strictly accountable to goals that you lose sight of real happiness. Like, I'm not willing to give up my free time and my afternoons off and the fact that I'm painting my dining room, which it's just out of view over there. I've been painting my dining room for the last 30 minutes. And yes, like, could I have sat at my desk and just worked and just looked to find a new client somewhere? I absolutely could have, but that's not what brings me joy. So the reason that I don't love goal setting is because I think it boxes us in and doesn't necessarily give space for like true happiness, for like what it feels like to live a well-rounded life. And achieving a goal at the like to the detriment of the other parts of my life is not worth it to me. And I think that's something that needs to be talked about in the goal setting realm, not just yes or no, did you accomplish the goal, but sort of the holistic viewpoint of like, if you accomplish the goal, were you also able to hold true to your other values and the other things that are important to you? Or did achieving this goal mean that you had to let things go elsewhere in a way that really doesn't align with how you want to live? So that is why I don't really set goals on a very loose basis. I do, again, literally part of my group that checks in on each other's goals each week, but I don't hold so strictly to them that I upset the balance of my life in other ways. So if I don't set goals, let's talk a little bit about what I do instead. As I've already mentioned, I like to take a more holistic approach than I think goal setting gives. I think, again, goals can be very limiting, and that's not what I'm trying to do when I look towards the future. I want to open the future up for myself. And late last week, Kyle of the Admin Bar, he is my mentor. He's also the guy who runs that accountability group. He sent out an email about, if goals aren't your thing, what can be, and what about themes? And as soon as I read his email, I knew that this was perfect for me because, again, I like to take that holistic viewpoint. I like to look at my happiness and my comfort and my income goals. And I like to kind of mesh all of those together to a point where I feel really connected with the work that I'm doing. And when I got that email from Kyle, I already knew what my theme was for 2024. And him popping into my email inbox and talking about it really solidified for me that my theme for 2024 is education. So I was an excellent student growing up. I straight A student in high school. Athletic at the time, still kind of athletic, but not quite the same. I played fast pitch, very, very competitive fast pitch softball, and I was just kind of like good at what I did. Then I went to college, a small liberal arts college. You may have picked up on this from some of my other content, but I didn't have a great time there. It was a prestigious college. I got a good education. I certainly got a good education, but it just never really meshed with me. And I wasn't as good of a student there. And I didn't know what I wanted to do after college. And my dad and I had always joked, well, if you can get people to keep giving you money, then you can like potentially go to school forever and just like be a student. But he also talked about being a student of life. And I think I didn't know I was going to cry today. I think I didn't give enough credence to being a student of life. And I thought I had to like school and had no idea this was going to bring so many tears. I thought I had to like school, and I thought I had to continue schooling. I thought that that was education. And what I have found, thinking about this, makes me understand how proud my dad would be of me right now. I learn damn near every day. running this business. I learn something new when I take on a challenging project. I learn something new when I deal with a new client situation, something that hasn't arisen already in my business. I learn in my accountability groups. And in 2024, I want to get back to structured education. Again, didn't love my college experience, really left a sour taste in my mouth for the institution of education. And so instead of going back to that institutionalized education that I really didn't connect with, in 2024, I'm going to be educating myself on new tactics in my business. I'm going to be educating myself on design. And in order to do so, I am going to be very consciously purchasing new materials to learn from. So this has already started. Yesterday, I got started with the Landing Page Academy by Eric Kennedy. He also has Learn UI and Learn UX out there. He is a very good designer. He's a very good educator. And I'm really excited to get back to learning some of the basics that I may have skipped over in starting my business. So, alongside the Landing Page Academy, I'm also going to be taking the Profitable Project Plan by Jennifer Bourne. I was talked into it, number one, by her amazing discount that she offered this year, and also by some colleagues who have taken it and who are going to take it again this year. And we're all going to hold each other accountable to actually doing that. Because one of the reasons that I have let education slide in my business isn't just because I didn't know if I wanted to go back for a master's or something. Spoiler alert, I do not want to go get a master's in web design. It would likely not really even relate to the business that I run. So I don't want to go back to that institutionalized education. But the flip side of that is like all of this education that's out here online that you can either pay for. There's like Coursera, like there's so much education. And the issue that I've had is I pay for it and I never follow through on it. So that's why I mentioned that this is going to be conscious education. I'm going to be dedicating specific time each week to education, but I'm also going to be dedicating time to finding the specific things that I want to get better at and learning from experts at their craft. So the Landing Page Academy, I am doing specifically to get better at design for my clients. My clients will benefit directly from that as soon as I get through the course, because I know that if I follow through on the course, that I am going to become a better designer. So really, it's a measured approach to education, choosing my courses, choosing my masterminds very, very, very selectively, but also making sure that I truly can hold myself accountable or find others, coworkers, colleagues to hold me accountable to actually doing the work to get better. Because purchasing a course and never logging in does not actually make me any better at my job. So the year that my theme for the year of 2024 is education. Really just getting back to, again, some of the things that I maybe didn't learn as I was starting my business. A lot of what I did was trial and error. And now I'm in a really stable place where I have a process, I have clients, I have recurring revenue. I know how to find new leads. I have, sort of these ethereal systems in place. Nothing's written down, but it's all in place so that I can continue to run my business and also get better at the things I want to get better at. And I have done a lot of things in my life just by getting my hands dirty and trying it out. But designing better is not one of the things that I've ever found to be particularly useful for me, just to kind of take what's in my own brain and run with it. I need some outside perspective. I need to learn some actual tangible rules to design. So that is what I am doing for 2024. And if this resonates with you, I would love to hear what your theme is for the year of 2024. But if you're more of a goal person, that's also totally fine. I'd love for you to drop them in the comments. Let me know what you're thinking about for the year 2024. And those can be income goals, they can be business goals, they can be family goals, they can be relationship goals, what have you. Goals, we talk about goals in business as if business is everything, but so many of us started our businesses to supplement our lives and to make our lives more fulfilling. So if your goals revolve around traveling more, or I don't know, dancing in the sunshine more, like, I want to hear about that too. It's not just about business. All right. Well, thank you for continuing to follow along. It's so nice to have you here, kind of, sharing these thoughts with me. I love to hear from you guys in the comments or your responses to my emails. It always warms my heart when I hear that this resonated. So, like I said, drop your own themes or goals or words or whatever inspires you for the year 2024 in the comments. And I will be back in your inbox again next week.